Hello friends, welcome to Akul Mac Live. This video is sponsored by Performance Works International. More about them in a bit. Today's topic is the Russians are doing it again. That's really the topic of the discussion. It's very interesting for all those movie buffs who are waiting for the sci-fi movies. And recently, if you remember, all these movies are very popular. Even the Russian film industry is doing very well in the area of science fiction. So this news about Russian film industry beating the Americans yet again, or rather I would say Hollywood, that is a matter of our discussion. So if you remember in 60s and 70s, there was sort of a space race going on. In those days, there were only two countries, which was Russia and America. And they wanted to go to the space, go to moon, go to Mars, go to other planets faster than, beat each other, faster than each other. And there was sort of a race going on. And that actually during the Cold War era. And finally, the Cold War ended and the space race also ended. And all these advancement that happened during the Cold War, subsequently, actually, they started teaming up and they started working together. They actually are one of the Russians and the Americans are the key partners in the International Space Station. So I think there was a space race going on between these two countries. And lately, what has happened is that the space race is again now brewing in the private sector. But we don't want to call it a space race. We want to call it competition. And there are so many companies. Their logos are mentioned in my background. You can see all of these are the private sector enterprises who are now sending their crafts into space. There are very popular names like SpaceX and all that. Predominantly, the major space race or race to develop the latest, cheapest tech is predominantly into these three guys and their companies, which is Mr. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mr. English from United Kingdom. So these are the three guys who are actually in the race right now. But we don't call this particular race a space race because these are all private enterprises. We call it competition. And the announcement is related to Mr. Tom Cruise. You can see he's such a smart guy. I'm also a great fan of Mr. Tom Cruise, especially when he do all these special stunts in his movies, And when we come to know that he has done these stunts without using any double, that means he is such a fit guy and he really invests his heart and soul into the project. All his movies, you talk about Mission Impossible, all other movies, even Oblivion, all these movies are fantastic. He is an amazing actor. And few days back, there was an announcement, a joint venture rather, by Tom Cruise, SpaceX of Elon Musk, SpaceX and NASA, that Tom Cruise will be making a movie for the first time in the world, completely shot, or at least majority of it being shot entirely in space. And for that, he will be blasted off using the SpaceX craft into the space, and they'll be shooting done and all that. So the budget of this movie is about 200 million US dollars. It was a big thing, for the first time, Hollywood, somebody from Hollywood is traveling for shooting and not creating that environment, and they'll be shooting in space with a huge budget, with complete backing of the producers and directors, also by state players like NASA and the private enterprise like SpaceX. So this was a big news, and I think the shooting will start. I think they will have to get trained, medically fit, get the fitness certificate, etc. While this was going on, the Russian movie industry already announced that they are also making a movie, and by doing so, this partnership that you see behind me is going to be little delayed now, And the Russian film industry and their movie, I will talk about that movie in a bit, is going to beat these guys in the space race. And let's call it space race between the Hollywood and the Russian film industry. And this movie is called The Challenge, and it has one of the legendary actress starring it. Her name is Yulia Peresild, and this movie is also directed by Shipenko, very popular director from Russian. And in fact, if you know, Russian movies are doing very well now. Their budgets are also very high. So what has happened is the crew has been selected. They have also undergone training at Yuri Gagarin Training Institute. They have got fitness certificate. They have got medical certificate. They have got the security clearance by the Russian agencies and Russian authorities. And there is a tie-up between the private enterprise and movie industry, and again, very similar to US, the state player, where this particular crew will be blasted off in less than a month on October 5th in Soyuz aircraft, which will be piloted by Anton Shkaplerov, a veteran cosmonaut, and they also have a backup plan. There is a backup team also in place. So they have a tie-up with a private company called Cosmos, which is basically planning the whole thing. They are taking the Soyuz on rent, and entire crew, cameraman, everybody will be blasted off into the space. So this is very interesting. I mean, this is something which is happening for the first time, where there is now a race among the private parties to go to the space. There were 60s and 70s and 80s during which the state players were actually racing to go to the space, to land on moon, to send their man on the moon, Mars, Venus, etc. Now we see a age where recently, just yesterday, the private enterprise, completely private crew, which was blasted off in Falcon 9, has returned safely after a 24-hour trip to space, completely funded by a private enterprise. And now we hear about this particular event which is going to happen. The Russians are going to shoot completely in space. They will be blasted off on October 5th. And this way, they will be beating the Americans in creating a landmark. So when I say it's a landmark, it's definitely a landmark, because usually when you look at the science fiction movies, they are actually shot in artificial environment with a lot of CGI, a green screen, expensive Universal Studio type setup, and so on and so forth. For the first time, these two filmmakers have decided that they will actually go to the natural environment in zero gravity. There will be no pressure, there will be no sound, and they'll be making a very natural kind of very realistic footage, which we are all eager to, we eagerly await as fans, as a viewer of the movie, and as a viewer of content. So I think this is something interesting. I thought I will bring it to your notice and talk about this. Usually we talk about tech world, but I think this is very technical. Making a movie requires more precision than making a software, because it requires a lot of logistics and a lot of finer details. So I think this is very, very interesting news. Before I end the video, I like to say a big thanks to Performance Works International, and I will end this video with a message from them. This video is sponsored by Performance Works International.
Are you ready for the challenges facing the modern workplace? Recent events have taught us the importance of transformation. Businesses now face a perfect storm of challenges. No business is too big to fail, and many are too slow to succeed. Our workforce is changing fast. We're entering a new age of empowerment, and everyone can contribute. The Inner CEO reveals how we can all play a part in making leading at all levels a reality. Written by Jeremy Blaine, an expert on business transformation, it provides a roadmap to help everyone unleash their inner CEO and contribute beyond their job role, whatever their level. Traditionally, strategy has been owned by the few. Now it's time for the many to contribute. Leadership must come from a broader base. Everyone has the potential to step up and make things happen. It's a new model of collective and collaborative leadership which unleashes the power of people, enabled by appropriate technology and a supportive management structure. The book provides a roadmap for a bold new age of empowerment. Supported by a range of resources, the book provides a toolkit to help anyone unleash their inner CEO. Organisation health, development and growth is owned at all levels. Are you ready to unleash the inner CEO?